Whoops.
Okay, great. Yes, good morning. This morning, March 24th, 2010, we have a couple items for the Facilities Committee this morning. The first is a request for proposal for fixed-based operator. Based on my discussion with the committee chair, I felt it appropriate to bring a request for proposal before the committee for discussion. There's been a lot of back and forth. There has been some updates to the request for proposal. I would like to point out the changes from previous versions. Would you mind passing one of those down? The couple of changes that have been made to the document.
No more substantive, right?
There's actually one that's very substantive, and that is on page 1 of the document. The schedule has changed based on feedback from CNS. CNS recommended a 6-week period between the issuing of the RFP and the pre-proposal meeting, so the schedule changed accordingly. A couple minor contractual language changes. One thing I would like to point out on page 4 of the document, the Jet A sold at Ogdensburg, which you see there, that results in, as proposed here, that results in a $4,600 loss to the authority that will be offset by any additional rent that comes in under this agreement. And as far as there was one other substantive change on page 8 of the document. That was where throughout the document we referred to sealed proposals or sealed proposals that permeates the document. Language was changed in this section to reflect sealed proposal as opposed to sealed bid. And beyond that, everything was, I don't want to say minor.
You changed it from bids to proposals since this is an RFP.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that was the only place that it had the reference to the bid in there. There were some conditional changes on page 5 of the document. One important note is upon the execution of a lease. This is in page 5, section F. 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll see the bullet points there. Upon execution of a lease, there are 3 conditions. The first and the second are and. The third is basically an and or, if applicable. So that requires the proposed rent and insurance policies as outlined by the agreement, and or the appropriate licenses and certification to dispense fuel if applicable. And that's only because in this scenario, it is conceivable that one of the respondents could say, we do not want to take on the responsibility of fueling Jet A.
Could we do something that I know sounds picky of me, but on those bullet points at the very end of the first 2, change those commas into semicolons? And the reason I'm telling you that I would like that is the if applicable then will only apply to the 3rd bullet point. No one could ever argue that if applicable would apply to the other 2.
Okay.
So if cash bond, semicolon, lease agreement, semicolon, and then the if applicable phrase will only apply to that 3rd bullet point.
Very good.
Okay. Otherwise, you and I talked about a few things to clarify, and I see those in here, so I think it looks good.
Just as a brief recap for somebody watching this, what this would be is request for proposal for fixed-base operator at the airport. In similar terms, it would be very similar to what we do in the industrial park. Bridge and Port Authority plows the snow, mows the grass, maintains the exterior of the building, maintains the HVAC units, and the specialized business operates within the confines of the structure. This would be the same type of proposal, but at the airport.
And we would still maintain our obligation and duty to sand and not salt in certain areas, salt in certain areas, maintain that runway, things like that, and we would not lose that RDS. That is not that, I'm sorry, as we wouldn't lose any of our grant abilities to get grants from the FAA for equipment out there, and also we are not going to have a problem with Homeland Security or the FAA having another individual inside that cordoned off area.
That's correct. This is a business operating within the confines of the airport.
Now, will they have to go through?
We do today, we'll be doing tomorrow.
Will a successful applicant have to go through some sort of a screening process with the FAA or Homeland Security?
Well, they'd have to get our security cards, access to the airport, that type of thing, and the corresponding area.
They actually screen
All
them?
their employees are vetted through. What we do is, like Wade said, they fill out our form and then we put them on it. What is the name of that list, Pat? It escapes me right there.
Sometimes they come around, though, and do a whole bunch of them at a time.
Yeah, but the monthly, we put that on a list and basically they run through there for us. Then,
So if we found that this person had before tried to smuggle bombs on a plane, we'd know we wouldn't put behind their fence.
so everybody, basically, can't think of the organization, but they vet it for us. And we have to submit that list every month anyway.
Okay.
So if things change, they tell us that it has. So what Wade's saying is, that firm would come in, we take all their employees, put them through issue our IDs and whatever IDs they need. Then we put them on that list, and then that would come back yay or nay on everybody.
It's part of TSA.
Should we have something in the proposal saying that the successful applicant would have to pass, successful applicants and proposed employees would have to pass TSA requirements or screening procedures or something like that?
Can add that in.
Screening. Yeah, they'd just be subjected to screening, yeah.
Well, they are what they are and stuff.
Right. I kind of think it makes sense to put it in the proposal. So
Well, I don't disagree with it.
maybe under G or something, screening,
Okay.
page 11. I don't know. Add
Yeah,
it.
just add it right
So
there.
they're aware, even if they're the best proposal, that they still have one more.
Yep.
And I ask on your behalf, Mr. Belgard, and mostly on behalf of the authorities, that this fixed base operator would not be taking over or assuming any of your duties out there.
Understood.
Okay.
With the exception of fueling. Right now,
Fueling.
he does fueling. So if they take that over, that would be eliminated from his position.
Now, is there anything, maybe it's already in here, these folks here can't sub-tier this out, can they? Subcontract this out?
That's a good point. We should have that in there.
I mean, we're dealing with this group, right? I mean, it might be being picky here, but I don't worry about
Both
that.
leases without approval, prior approval. That's good for
That would
us.
be picked up by when we negotiate an agreement with the successful proposer, that would be dealt with in our industrial lease, which has the clause in there that things cannot be
Sublet.
signed without authority approval. So, in answer to your question, yes, we would still have that control. So the person that we would be dealing with, the person or company that we would be dealing with would be a known company to us.
But I guess I don't like to see people come in and become a broker situation. I don't like suitcase contractors, and I don't like suitcase businessmen.
So you think maybe you should put that kind of language to notify whoever looks at this that that's not an option, so you wouldn't get.
That's really not an option, like,
No, but don't we have this as one of our exhibits to this that goes out? I mean, there are an awful lot of exhibits here. I can't tell you that. Look at all the attachments. Give them a copy of this as an exhibit to the RFP.
That would be one of the
So they would have
table of contents here. That would show up in two places. That would show up under...
facilities H.
Yep. And the other one is the ground base, should it be
Attachment 1, or I. I'm sorry,
Yes.
HI.
As long as you guys think it's covered, that's all. I just don't want to get into it.
That's good.
I want to
I like
get
that.
That is an excellent question.
So I think it's ready to go on the agenda for today to have the rest of the board take a look at it.
I would make a motion to do that.
Okay. We don't have anybody to second it. I suppose I'll second it today. And we'll,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sounds good. Second item under the report, there's an engineering agreement with Tisdale Associates. This is for the court building number 6 re-roofing project. Steve, do you want to comment on this?
Yes, we had the building 6 has been just the roof's just been deteriorating. It's a built-up roof with ballasted. Mary knows this, but it's got all the stone and all of that. It's just deteriorated to where we've got various leaks over it, and it's just reached its useful life. We had it repaired, I think.
Schrader came down?
Yeah. They did an emergency repair of somewhere about $10,000 to $12,000 on the west side, and when they looked at it, they just did what we asked, and that got us through, but we took a closer look on that, and what we're looking at is removing all the ballast, possibly leaving the insulation, and just put new in. Well, the building doesn't need insulation, but because it's unheated, that would be a base course, and then we'd go with it fully adhered roofing. That's what we're looking at, and we've done that down there before, and what Tisdale would have to do is do just some preliminary information on fastening on that, and see if that was a candidate for doing that. And
didn't we a couple of years ago, and it was more than a couple of years ago, get approval from Tisdale that we were allowed to put in certain sheets of roofing in between rafters and run stuff over top? Are we looking at doing that?
No, this is a different roof. Yeah, it's just different. The other one, exactly right. That's what we did, Mary. In between the hats of they put that insulation that went right over
top of it. And that's worked well.
That's worked well.
That's the different type of
longer screws for that, but this is a similar situation in that you need screws to put the base insulation down to just make sure that, and it's a heavy-duty steel decking, so we don't anticipate a problem with that.
Okay.
But I wanted to get out in front with this. It's in our budget for 2010, 2011, and I just want to get the engineering there, and instead of doing things, what it seems they drag off to the back, the worst weather, I'd like to just get right out in front and do that and get it out there, and hope contractors, we pull a lot of contractors, hopefully get it done by midsummer or into the summer.
Okay. And obviously I'm not going to ask, because the camera's on and we have media here, you obviously have an idea how much it should cost if you put it in the budget. So we wouldn't want the number being released at this point, since we have people who are bidding on it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we want them to know the number to shoot at, but you still think we're still on target for having enough money to do this year?
I think so. We're using what we did last, we have a square footage number that got this type of roofing, and that's what we're hoping. You can't guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got enough in there to cover that.
Okay.
Wait, are you done with me?
I can't think of anything else at this
Any
point.
questions for Steve on the RFP?
We're not that exciting and interesting, huh? Thank you for coming.
I'll be late for work.
We are at work right now.
No, you are at work. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. Great, so with your permission, we'll move that to the full board.
Yeah.
Fred, do you make a motion to do that?
I move.
I'll make the second. All in favor? Aye. On agenda?
The second item on the report section is an agreement with AgriSystems. This is, I need you to think back to March of 2009. This is the $15,000 grant we got from the Development Authority of the North Country through the efforts of Senator Griffel for designing a conveyor system for handling product at the Port of Ogdensburg. What we've done here is we've contacted several companies, looked at AgriSystems to provide preliminary project review estimates. Dollar amount there you see in front of you with the corresponding bulleted items. We expect the scope will expand on this to not exceed the $15,000 grant limit.
Great. Now, when we were first talking about the different conveyors that were available to us, there was one that was middle of the line and there was one that was a Cadillac.
Right.
We weren't sure we even needed the Cadillac.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Mary, but this is kind of this is different from the conveyor replacement.
Okay.
None of what we talked about there will enter into this. This is more for engineering for the specific building for product handling direct from rail car. And I'm sorry if I
Okay,
didn't
okay.
Small scale one, not the
yeah, but
So this then is for the building for a different conveyor to service, not this,
Correct.
not the one
Yeah,
that, okay, okay.
and I'm
Well, I'm glad you
sorry about
clarified that.
We
Thank
did
you.
have a discussion even before the conveyor replacement. I think Jim was here and we talked about an overall plan.
Right.
And with that, we talked about turnkey operations and things like that. So, what we looked for, we went to Emerald out of Syracuse, New England Millwright, which is out of, right offhand, I think they're out of New England, Massachusetts, I'm not sure. They were recommended to us by the railroad. They've used them. Emerald we've had experience with, and then Agri-Systems kind of encompasses the whole enchilada kind of thing. They have a really good engineering department, and out of all of these, their proposal fit in with kind of what we had talked about back then.
So we don't have the conveyor that we're building this building, or we're considering building this building.
Right, no, we have nothing. This is just
This would be
pure
a-
engineering. And
Engineering not only for the building to handle the conveyor, but also the appropriate conveyor to put in.
correct. And what they would do is give us a shopping list of things. What we're trying to do is just get a blueprint here for things that we can go after and maybe things we can handle or we can't.
Right.
And in here they give you two scenarios. You kind of see, I kind of wanted to see what they had. And what we asked for is we'd like a site visit, basically them getting familiar with the building and then coming back to us with, you can see some of the things that we want out of that.
So we'd be knocking a building down and putting it in its place, or building a brand new one?
No, we'd be using that building. Our
The one we already have.
Yeah,
Building eight.
and so what the drawings reflect are kind of that what could go on inside of Building 8
Got it.
at the port.
How much work does Building 8 need done on that? Do we know? I mean, structurally it's in good shape.
Yes.
Okay.
And the only issue they have to check for loading. If they're going to hang a conveyor right there, they can just check with that. And you structure that, but that would be part of that. So
Okay.
they gave us a price roughly of 10 to 11,000. I think it's 10.
Yeah, it's definitely under 15.
5.
Yes.
But it's under 15. But the other thing, we left a contingency in there that should they come and say, and some things that maybe John or Wade or Mark or something that we come up with that we'd like to see, that money could be spent toward that to make it more kind of more focused on what we want. There may be some engineering actually in like the rail pit, things like that we could get additionally, so that we basically what we're hoping to do is have a plan there that we could bring to the board. They look at what we've got, and maybe there's some phases that we could knock off.
Would it make sense to integrate at some point in time, or let them know we were considering buying another larger conveyor? I mean, at some point in time, you're going to let them know that, so that
Yep.
if there's something
and
that
that's
needs to
what
be worked around or retrofitted.
The field visit, that's what we'd say, that we looked at that, and then they may have some things that may say, well, why don't you consider, if you're doing this, this is what we've done in the past or others. And I've researched them. They've done a lot of work for, I don't know if I've got this right, but it's like the Georgia Port Authorities. They've got a lot of experience.
With the port.
Yeah, and they handle grain and bulk materials, and that was kind of, they had a very good presentation, so that kind of is the background.
So as long as we can also use them to integrate our order idea, they might also be able to tell us whether or not they think we're going to overbuy or underbuy.
Right, and they've got experience on the other end with the equipment too. So,
Steve, this conveyor system, I'm looking at it here in this picture, is this thing what's side by side of the building, or goes from one side to the other side?
well, what do you mean, Fred? There's gates up. You see up above the hanging. Can you see the hanging conveyor up above? It's kind of like a line conveyor, and there's gates in there that what they do is some of those have a 15-foot mini conveyor that you can, and basically they go at a higher speed, so you can actually tip the angle of it and move the material out toward the walls, or just stop it and let it drop right there. But I believe what they first talked about was 9 gates, so if you can kind of divide up 9 gates right there, you'd operate and just turn one on, and you can load, if there was a load coming off the rail, you can put it anywhere you wanted to in the building. And like the first drawing you see is basically bulk, maybe all one material. Then you'll see later it's kind of broke up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do that with those portable, like the concrete
Like a
bumpers.
Jersey barrier.
Exactly, the large things. And what you do is you go in on that east side there, and you basically would pull whatever grain you needed out of there. So it would give us an option of, you could store, 5 to 6 different types of materials, or you could, store quite a bit in 2 of them and of the same material or whatever. But that would give you, it wouldn't give you maximum storage, but it would also give you an option to carry more products.
Flexibility,
Yeah, whether it was fertilizer or grain or some of the other things that, I know we've talked about bringing into.
So this conveyor system would actually hang off the original steel there?
Yeah, and then you'd see on the end you've kind of got like that whole end would be just a tower type of deal that you'd come from the pit on the rail right to the tower thing. It would take it straight up and then right into the building. So one person, with the rail possibly would they'd unload their rail cars and it would be all, that would be it. It would already be there, and the only issue we'd have would be taking a loader and loading a truck.
2 questions. How do we make sure things like animal feed and fertilizer don't have any cross-contamination?
That is, when I say that.
Okay. You're saying that you have to look into that?
Yeah, maybe we can't do that.
How about the furthest commodity from the end of the conveyor, or any of the commodities? How do we get them back on the conveyor and back out again? I mean, when it comes in, it just dumps.
Right, there's no, and we could ask that, but
And another piece of equipment.
Unless there might be something you can tie to
It's
that.
easy to get in, but it's not necessary to get out.
To reverse that, there may be.
You don't have doors along the side, or...
No,
And that's good because we charge for storage.
Ask that question, could we get the option of actually, whether it's some it's pneumatic or something, you take it back onto the conveyor.
Right. Okay. You have a motion to put this on the agenda today, Ben?
Yeah. It's just the engineer study, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Strictly engineering.
The only thing, I make a motion to put it on the agenda, so.
I'll second it. All in favor?
All right. One of the things on this, Steve, just looking at it, we can still put that conveyor system in there on its own stand too, without hanging it from the roof.
Right. They
Put miles in.
Yeah, exactly. He said the same thing. You might shift it over a little bit, Fred, because you don't want it in the way of that, but you come right straight up with stands and all of that. But they said they found that hanging them, if the structure supports that.
Well, I'd be only looking for something that we could temporarily, if we need it. We never know what we're going to get for storms.
Right.
I mean, they're all getting it from the other places now, but it's going to swing back around here.
Right.
This jet thing's going to swing back to us. There's no doubt about it. So 10 years down the road, we might be getting hit with 3 or 4 foot of snow. And on top of that, that's what I'm looking at.
Yep.
But I mean, you'll probably cover that when you...
Yeah, we can ask. Those are good questions there that we'll talk about. And we can address as options or things like that. But, and with that, we probably come up with a budget in today's dollars of what we're looking at. And then if we found, and Wade's talked about this, is that when we have that kind of in place, instead of saying we'd like to mechanize the port, we could say specifically this is what we're after, and I think it helps people take up our cause or to help us with that.
It's a much easier sell when the equipment is there.
Right.
I think it's a good idea.
I've always referred to this port as our crown jewel. We just have we got to find a way to maximize its usage. That's where we get our biggest bang for the buck down there.
Right.
True.
So these investments are good.
Mary, you were going on a question on standalone conveyor. Is there
I
something?
wanted to make sure that whatever we were doing here too would
How?
integrate.
Yes.
We weren't going to spend a
And maybe there's an option in
Throw those
there
off to the case.
set that up that maybe we can.
But if they knew what our longer-term plans are, whether it be a Cadillac in the middle of the road, whatever they were doing for us would work with that, would integrate.
Can I ask one question to you and Fred? I didn't mention this to Wade, so I don't mean to spring this on him, but
Nothing wrong with that. Do it. We doesn't mind doing it to us.
we did budget money for a conveyor.
Yeah, we did.
I know in the economy and everything, I guess I'm asking sheepishly, but you think that's an option that we could actually do this year.
But they can sell, I mean, we put it in the budget, and especially if we have this study done, and they tell us what they think, you know, the future workings would be.
The conveyor.
But we also know we can't afford the Cadillac.
And I'm not holding.
But if this engineering report comes in and says, oh, with this new situation, you don't want to get the middle of the road, you want the Cadillac to have maximum, then we're probably going to say to you, whoa, Steve, let's hold off until we can afford it.
I'm not.
I'm not somebody who likes to put a tourniquet on or a Band-Aid on somebody who needs a tourniquet, and that's...
So let's see
do this first and see what they think for...
Sean will put it out for bid, Steve.
At some point.
Well, what I'm saying is something like that will take a long time during the year. I mean, I can say it 3 or 4 months, and then by the time you get it and all that you're into, you know, you might lose the season. I'm not trying to pressure you or anything like that.
Sure you are, but we give you credit for that. But you're not getting a pickup truck. You're not a pickup truck.
Steve, how close is this going to be to the rail?
I think it's only... The rail's only 30 feet from the edge of the building.
Building edge?
So we can take the conveyor out of the boxcar right into this.
Yeah, and on the front of the building you probably could.
Into the conveyor system. I say this building, say we got this set up.
Yeah.
Is our rail going to be close enough that they put the rail cars in that we could take the product out of the rail car right into the hopper, into our conveyor system, or are we still going to have
that? Right on the end would be a pit, and it would come directly from the rail car.
Okay.
We wouldn't handle it right.
We're talking about loading it on, that's what we would say. We haven't, like Mary said, that when you unload that building, maybe you want to load it into rail cars. We may want the capability, so we may talk to them on that, but maybe a new conveyor fits into that or something like that. So.
I mean, I'd like to maximize our usage of this engineering study so that they understand what our bigger...
Okay, so let's get that done. And
have them understand what our bigger objective is, too.
Right. Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we've got 2 more issues remaining for the Facilities Committee today, the first of which is approval of purchase of vehicle. This is for a alternative fuel vehicle, a 2010 Dodge Grand Caravan 7-passenger, $18,818. I think you have my packet doesn't have it, but I think you have the cut sheets in there on that. Steve, do you want to add anything to that?
Basically, this is the same vehicle, and it's instead of a 2009, it's a 2010. And you'll look on the first page where it says the item 1A Dodge Caravan build-out date. What it is Dodge and the dealership have agreed that they will honor this contract through May 25th. It's right there on your first page.
But only certain dealerships, like Albany Dodge.
No, that's the only one we're going to deal with.
As a local person, this was local, I hate to see when local people get a shot at stuff. And I know that some dealers, as long as they comply with the requirements of purchasing through the state, they can take possession and I think we've done it for more backups before. Why don't we have an option of using a local dealer?
I'm saying historically we ask them.
Mm-hmm. And they tell us who it is.
Yeah, they'll tell you who it is, and then most of these people, they like, for example, the day that I called Albany Dodge, the guy had 250 that he'd taken in the last month of orders. They move such a volume, they make their money on that. I think most local dealers can't make that arrangement.
Didn't we get our last minivan from North Bacchus? Why did we take possession? Where did we take delivery from?
No, they all did delivery. They bring them all up here.
Albany Dodge will drive a van up here.
It's all part of that. That's part of the we pay for it. It's in there. You'll see that. And they have a chart there that says, for $640, Albany Dodge will send 2 guys because they got to pick the other guy up. They just basically bring it here, give us all that, go through the whole vehicle with us, give us the keys, and then they...
And it's still cheaper than dealing with somebody like North Bacchus who otherwise would honor the price.
Yeah, we just can't get... when you ask them, they can't match that. They're allowed to. It says...
They're allowed to, but they can't. So we give them a crack at it.
Right. Okay. We can do that internally.
Okay. I know... but my point is, when people are hurting locally...
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Personally, I don't want to drive 200 miles to have my car repaired.
Well...
And I know that you can take it over to North Bacchus and have it repaired under warranty.
Not personally.
But they do have some dealers are fussy about things, but I also will tell you that the less we buy from these people, the less they're going to be around the corner. So you will be driving to Albany to have things fixed. I mean, as silly as that sounds, it's going to, they don't want mega dealers.
Right.
Okay. They have an opportunity to try to match this price.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest with you, I will.
You ask.
I will ask and
Thank
say
you.
and give.
Because when we have the economy the way it is, I think we should all be concerned about our local
I don't want to
vendors.
give away any pricing or anything.
Right, no, I'm not.
But if something was a little bit more, or something, if I come back to you on that.
If it's $500 more, then if you're $640 to drive in here, we just paid $140.
Unless state contract.
Yes, and they can. I know even in Governor, some of the dealers used to honor like police cars and stuff. And there would be a big spread in the paper about a local dealer doing a delivery, and I used to think, why is that such a big deal? But apparently it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's within a few $100, I'd like the board to know about it.
Okay.
No, I don't like wasting money.
These specs and see if they can get us 2010 for. We'll get the price. I'm sure that if it's something that, even a little bit more or whatever, and that's fine.
But if you're talking to them, tell them that you're doing it not because that's been procedure, but the board is interested in seeing what a local vendor can do for us.
Sure.
You want to hold on this?
No, he's going to check into it. Oh, you're saying, does the agenda item go to a certain person, or?
We can hold until the April.
We have a meeting on the 31st coming up. Don't we have a special meeting coming up? Can we check within a couple of days?
Yeah, a special meeting, but one topic only. I'd rather hold it till the...
But is the band going to be that big of a discussion item? So maybe put it on that
What
one.
I'm talking about is maybe considering going to a different type of bidding procedure.
I don't know if we can. We have to use contract rate.
Well, actually, there is some way around that about yet.
What I looked at was I contacted the IDA, also contacted DANK. I found out they do a local bidding process. Similar result, and at the end of the day, they specify in the document itself what they're looking for, the state contract, so on and so forth, and the responses come back. But it was felt overall that most likely, based on past experience, the local dealers would not be able to meet that price. So that's why there's that one extra call that needs to be placed to find out if
And
they
before we even
can.
discuss bidding, why not call out to say, would you honor the price, or can you come anywhere near it?
I don't think we can do that.
What's that?
I don't think we can do that. It's that we're bargaining now outside the scope of what we're...
But we're not, because the state contract says such and such amount of money, and if they say yes, they can meet it.
But there's more to it than that.
Okay, then I'm ignorant. I apologize.
I don't think you... I just... When we use this type of procedure, we change our procedure to another one to use local people.
Now, I'm not saying you local people.
No, I am saying we should consider changing our procedure of buying vehicles here to a local procedure and let it go out that way, because you've got enough dealers in this area that can cover their bid.
There is in all states.
It's still get the state price.
State contractor equal. You are entitled. This allows you to go locally, but it says state contractor equal. In other words,
Right.
As long as they match whatever's in here, that's fine. Like you say, if
Plus they charge us
it's
$640 on top of it.
more, and but you're not paying the thing at all.
$640 delivery?
Saying you can do that. So I can call them, but if they come back $3,000 more, that would be in our procurement thing. You'd say.
We're trying to spend money on the last year's budget, and I understand why they're trying to push this through now as opposed to next month. This is the last year's budget item, not this year's budget item.
Well, I'm not sure we need to buy this vehicle today.
Okay.
We can wait on it.
And I'm just trying to do something right for the northern...
I agree.
And I think that, we need to talk about this in the second session. I'll share some stuff with you that I do not want to share right now. I'll share it afterwards, but I want to talk about it first.
Okay. Well, let's table this.
Is that all right?
So this won't go before the board today.
All righty.
So we can get to April 7th.
But that's my point too. Is that local people hurting?
Bad.
Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you what, if we go to mega dealerships, we're not going to have people around the corner to take it to for a clunk or a clink. You're going to be driving to Watertown. I'm driving further away than I ever did before, and the reason I bought local is so I'd have local
Service.
And I hate to see us drive into Watertown or Utica or Syracuse or Albany to get a clunker of quick take a look at. But
And that sometimes is worth a couple $100 more.
Yes, it is.
When you got a ding or something,
we try what we order. I mean,
Yep,
there's
absolutely.
no dealership.
Absolutely.
You gotta go to Syracuse, Watertown.
I wouldn't have bought my GMC if I knew.
there is 4 dealers in Potsdam.
No,
And we got 2 Dodge dealers in Canby, we got a Dodge dealer in Ogdensburg.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to look forward. There's still stuff going on, and these smaller dealers are
Albany.
not through the fire.
Everything's in Albany.
Yes, it is.
You know, Albany, Capital District, New York City.
no, this isn't a problem. That's
I'm with you on that.
Thank you.
I just can't explain it right.
And the last item before the committee this morning is other such matters. There's a housekeeping issue here with C&S Engineers. This is approval of a cost plus fixed fee agreement with C&S Engineers on the Happy project. That's a precision approach project. This was a fee to provide services in the amount of $31,508 for the full-time construction observation of the project.
That's an add-on?
No, that's the actual contract. This contract was overlooked.
Well, we've already done the project.
Yes.
So it wouldn't make any sense not to approve it so that when the auditors came in, they wouldn't see that we had approved something we've already done.
I move.
I'm constrained to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sheepishly. Can we put that somewhere?
That concludes the business before the facilities.
Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second? We stand adjourned. Thank you. Look, we're almost on schedule.